it's summertime. Last week of summer. I start exactly on time. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters.
Good morning.
How is everyone today on the final Thursday, I think, of summer? Or is there one next week?
Oh, God.
We want to enjoy it as long as we can, for sure. So to open the meeting today, I'm also the inspirational role. So I have a quote for you all. You get up every morning with determination if you're going to go to bed with satisfaction. George Larimer. And I'd like to do the pledge to the flag. Everybody stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we introduce our Toastmaster of the day, we do have a few announcements. I'm going to start off with Sylvia. She could just come up really quick. And I think Kate's got a couple things for us as well.
Last night, I helped Beth with the sending of membership dues notice to everyone. If everyone would check their emails and see, dues are due. And the last day we would like is the last Thursday of September, 22nd, or Monday, the 26th for sure, because she has to transmit them in AM Lockport by the 30th, so we could get credit. So please pay your dues. One question I do have, it's dawned on me after I sent them, we didn't do a 50-50 split. Do we do that every renewal, or I mean every 6 months, or annual? Okay, so we should do a 50-50 split.
Okay, so we'll get out those tickets and do that next week.
You could do them tonight or today. They're all over there. Yeah. Thanks.
Kate, do you have some announcements for us?
I sure do. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I can't see who's there, but it looks like a quiet morning. Oh my goodness. That's okay. I heard you saying because of the summertime. I have announcements, and if we don't have a lot of people here, I'll keep announcing this maybe next week and the week after. We usually, for anybody new, we usually have a summer picnic. We are going to forego that this year in lieu of a fall picnic. So this year, our fall picnic, and I will put this out in an email too, our fall picnic will be again at Margot's Winery at Margam Manor on Sunday, October 2nd. That'll be from 1 to 4 p.m. and right in the middle, we will plan for a group photo, again, around 2:30. And it will be a potluck picnic. Bring a snack or a side dish or a dessert of some kind. We never have a main dish, and it never seems to be a problem. So we have a great time that Sunday afternoon, October 2nd. Now, usually at the summer picnic, we do announce all of the educational awards that have been received since the previous summer picnic. And so I'll announce those now, and also again at the fall picnic, and maybe at a meeting where we do have more members to recognize, because I'm not sure who's there right now in person. So I'm not sure if I'm announcing people who are going to hear them being recognized for their efforts. We appreciate you all. So this dates back to last July and our officer term from July 2021 until I printed this at the end of this June year. So we have Thomas Heldwine receiving the double award in Engaging Humor 1 and Engaging Humor 2. We have Phil Russell is on today, and he has been tackling multiple paths So he has received his visionary communication level 5. So bravo on the level 5 receiving that, Phil. And then he continued tackling, Phil, you're there. So will you remind me? I should have looked all these up, but I thought I had them memorized. IP1. What does the IP stand for? Do you remember?
Wait a minute.
I didn't mean to throw you off, but it looks like Marty Johnston also has been working in that path. If Marty is there.
Innovative planning.
Oh, yes. Innovative planning.
3 today.
Tackling 3. So he did receive his level 1 back in March. Marty Johnston received the innovative planning 4 last September, and he's working towards 5. Also, Marty has the leadership development 3. Jackie got us a triple crown. If Jackie's there, leadership development 4 and 5, like Phil, another level 5 and finishing that path. And the MS2. Does anybody remember what MS2? All these new terms are difficult to tackle, and I should have had a little review of them. I should have had a little key. Okay, awesome, Jackie at the leadership development 4 and 5 and the MS2. And then Jill Roaring and I both received persuasive influence 1, and Jill kept going and already has her persuasive influence 2. Margot is tackled the presentation mastery and level 1 complete. And also on presentation mastery, Beth Banks, PM2, and Larry McKenzie, PM2. And then Jennifer Zapla and I have reached level 4s. So dynamic leadership 4, and she has visionary communication 4. So Marty and Jen and I are nearly to a level 5. We're probably going to have to do projects outside of a regular meeting to fulfill those goals and finish those paths. So the education report looks awesome as a recap of our year. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and good job, everybody.
Yes, round of applause, everybody. Definitely want to recognize our accomplishments for sure. So in the room, yes, Dave.
October 2nd is Groucho Marx's birthday, so they have a theme. It's important that the youngsters in this club find out who he was. So, just a thought.
Yes, Dave has indicated that October 2nd is Groucho Marx's birthday. So if someone wanted to come and dress up as Groucho to the picnic, that would probably be okay. He may have some education for us on that day regarding the Groucho Marx. Okay, so that's worth a try. Okay, so just for everybody to know who's in the room: Sylvia Baptiste, Len Thornton, Nancy Ferry, Jackie Kenny, Steve Smith, Jill Roaring, our area governor, Jeanette. Round of applause. And let's see, we have one here twice. Dave Licata, myself, Joe Budnick, and on Zoom we have Katie. Tracy is here as well. We stole the sign in before she got here. Phil Russell, Katie, and that's about it today. So is there anybody else? David Jones, thank you. Want to be accurate for everybody. Any other announcements before I get going? Okay, let's turn the lectern over to our Toastmaster of the day, Nancy Ferry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I feel like I've been up here as Toastmaster quite a few times these past few months. Is that what it is? It's a test? Okay. I want to share our theme today. And I think vaguely remember doing this once before, somebody else did, but commercial jingles. I thought it's fun, it's summer, and we all have those earworms going in our head. All we have to do is look at something sometimes and one of those pops back into our head. This morning I opened the medicine cabinet and I saw Band-Aids, and guess what's stuck on my mind? I am stuck on Band-Aids and Band-Aid. Even though I didn't need one, it still goes there. And how long ago was that commercial? I don't even know. I was going to make a toast and I left my apparatus over here. Okay. A toast to our wonderful minds that can retain not only useless information like earworms, but also important information. Our job holders. I didn't see as many as I thought I would today. Let's begin with, first I want to thank you, Gerald, for stepping in, doing our inspiration. And our word master today is Tracy Farrell. Would you share our word of the day?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Our word of the day is going to be brand or branding. It's described as the kind, grade, or make of a product or service. So in essence, it's how our brand, how we're perceived by our brand. And I can relate this back to Toastmasters because last night, one of our department heads was asking for a lot of extra money from the city council because he was unable to string two words together. They were really hesitant to give him that money. So how we're perceived is part of our brand. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Brand. You wrote that up there? Our master today, as well as our grammarian, is Mike Licata. Mike?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. This morning, my job as a grammarian will be to chronicle the uses of the English language, both the poor uses and the good uses of the language. I'm also doubling as master this morning, so I will look for ahs, pregnant pauses, and the other filler words that we use in our club that we're all guilty of. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you for stepping up to combine those two roles. Our quote master, David Jones, I believe is on Zoom. There you are. Share a quote with us today, David.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and good morning, fellow Toastmasters. My quote comes from Nikki Nelson, who's with Wolters Kluwer in Netherlands. I'm sure I said that wrong. She states that advertising must be interruptive. That is, it must make you stop thumbing through the newspaper or thinking about your day just long enough to read or hear the ad. Advertising must also be credible, unique, and memorable in order for the brand to work. Now, this morning that will be tested when we all talk about our favorite brands and commercial jingles. If you're like me, sometimes I have a hard time remembering how to spell there. Is it apostrophe R-E or I-E? But I guarantee everybody in this room knows how to spell Rolaids. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, David. As well as Oscar Mayer, right? It's O-S-C. That's right. You want to sing it for us, Dave? O-S-C-A-R. I'm trying to think of the second half. Okay, great. We've got lots of jingles. And one jingle that I forgot to ask for was a timer. I'm so sorry. Is there anyone who would be willing? Jeanette, thank you. And will someone get her the timing book and timer?
What's better for both of them?
Also in our club is different than maybe the rest of area 11. with the table topics timing. So I just want to point that out. It will be what's in the book as opposed to the international timing. I'm happy to echo it online if needed for Phil. Phil, do you want that? Okay, sure.
Thank you, Jeanette. And our quiz master today, Gerald Stevens, would you tell us what you will be doing?
So as quizmaster today, I will be trying to improve my listening skills, which need a lot of work, I've discovered, because usually when I listen in the meetings, and for example, I think Nancy might have been quizmaster recently, she had a bunch of questions and I didn't know any of them. So I said, okay, I need to sign up to be quizmaster so I can improve my listening skills. So that's what I did. So I will listen to the speakers today and try to write down some pertinent facts. So pay attention. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. And I don't see Chris Banks here. Yeah, I think we'll forego tech and gesture master if anyone wants to add that to their reports. You want to do that? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Will you come up and tell us what that will look like? David. Just trying to get out of table topics?
No.
We'll do that.
Good morning, everybody. How many in the room have actually sold a jingle to an advertiser? I'll wait. Whatever you want. The Franco's has it. The Franco's has it. Niagara Falls people, right? Whatever you want. Franco's, the Franco's has it. The Franco's, your has it store. Ah, thank you. I got that out of my system. I have another one for later. Thanks to Zoom, we are now the floor manager of the TV show, which I tend to approach it that way. I want to ask you today to do me a little bit of a favor. When you're sitting out there and we're the ones doing the live applause, wait until the person comes into the shot on the monitor. So then we don't have to applaud so long. It can be a louder, more robust applause. We won't have these doubts. So when the person comes into the shot, applause, and when they leave the shot, applause, it'll be a nice jolt. We're going to look out for hand gestures on the Zoomers because that's important and it's pretty tricky. And we'll watch for grand gestures here for the live and in-person people. Thank you, Madam Toastmasters, and I'm sorry about the snarkiness.
A little snark can be a special brand. So along with the Oscar Mayer singing the letters, O-S-C-A-R, M-A-Y-E-R, they would also sing, I wish it were an Oscar Mayer wiener. I don't know if that sold hot dogs or not, but then there was plop, plop, fizz, fizz. If you ate too many hot dogs, that was for what? Alka-Seltzer, right? Or you could chew a little bit of double your pleasure with, and double your fun with double mint gum. All right, and I would like to introduce our table topics master, Sylvia Baptiste.
Well, I thought we'd play a little game. I like games. If I gotta be up at 7 in the morning to come here, we gotta have fun. So Joe, come on up and pick an envelope. I have 4 envelopes, even though I'm only asking people. And read inside your envelope.
When a child is just starting out in TV, they do commercials and get noticed. Name someone who started doing commercials and famous today. Don't forget to use the word of the day. I will. Mhm. Well, I'm not really sure, but I remember Gary Coleman, who was on Different Strokes, who cracked everybody up. I think he started doing commercials at one point too, at one point. And I'm not sure what brand of commercials he did, but I believe that's how he started out. And a lot of those child stars really did. I think Ricky Schroeder too also started doing commercials as well. Jingles are interesting. They cause earworms too. There is actually a couple I like. Years and years ago, there was this little pasta that they used to sell in cans. It was called Dynagetti, and the commercial was so cool. It sounded like a British rock band with this commercial. And it's like, I want to get this song on CD because it was really cool. And there's this other commercial that I saw. It doesn't have a jingle, but I thought it was really disturbing. Ever see that commercial for toaster strudel? The little blonde-haired boy, warm, flaky, gooey toaster strudel. It's like, this kid is so disturbing. Like the family, the mother and the 2 kids are sitting, and all of a sudden you hear that German accent, and the door comes crashing down. And I'm thinking, blonde-haired Germans knocking down doors. Yeah, where have we seen that before? God forbid. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Kate is on our Zoom world. Kate, I have number 4, 3, and 1 left. Which one would you like?
How about 1?
Uno. Okay.
No.
Your question this morning. Some of us watch the Super Bowl just for the commercials and the halftime show. Is there a commercial that you remember from the Super Bowl? And don't forget to use the word of the day.
I am one of those people that might watch the Super Bowl for the commercials primarily. Don't tell my football family. They know. I think that the brands that stand out the most to me are the fun ones and the very memorable ones. I'll go back and watch them on YouTube after the game. And sometimes now they do launches before the game. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. This is a fun way to play around with this. Oh, fellow Toastmasters, what stands out from the Super Bowl? Bud, why? Do you remember those frogs? Oh my gosh, those are crazy. Except that, of course, the Budweiser Clydesdales are much more recognizable, and those horses. And now with the little puppies and ponies that they start shadowing, I don't know if there's any songs or jingles that come to mind, but certainly brands stand out. Lately, it's been a lot of Coca-Cola commercials, and what else? Oh, goodness gracious. Doritos, they spend so much money just for every second of those commercials. It's crazy. The jingles topic made me think of a couple more songs. I want to sing them, but I don't want to step on Nancy's toes if she's going to sing them later. So we'll see. Maybe Dave and I can have a jingle off that he will win later after the meeting. I think I probably have made time at this point. I wasn't keeping time for my own self. Is there a light there? Oh, I see the flag. I see that. Thank you very much. Wave in the green. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. Thank you, Area Director Jeanette, for jumping in this timer.
Steve Smith, which number would you like? A lucky number, hopefully.
Well, let's see what this has to say here.
Hmm? I'm the last one to complain about somebody else's writing. In your opinion, what is the best holiday commercial? Ooh, well, there's an interesting thought. Holiday commercial. Now, the one that they seem to have been playing for decades is the one with the Santa Claus riding on the razor, Norelco. I think they trot that out every year around Christmas. But of course, that helps them with their branding. You think Noelco, you think Norelco. That's kind of clever, really. I'm going to go back even a little further on an Alka-Seltzer commercial. Relief is just a swallow away. How many people remember, I'm going back to commercials we're not allowed to talk about, cigarettes. The little jingle. Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. Now, when my brother and I were growing up, we learned to speak English by watching the Beverly Hillbillies. Drove our parents to no end of distraction for that. Now, Granny's version of that was Winston tastes good like a cigarette had oughta. So we started talking that way and our parents weren't at all happy about it. At least my grandmother was happy. We called her Granny. She liked that. All right, that's good. Oh, there's another one, cigarette commercials. You probably know this, Dave. LSMFT.
That's right. Fine tobacco.
Bingo. So, you don't remember that? I'm going way back. Oh, yeah, there's just so many commercials and I grew up memorizing jingles. Now, I also notice you get these earworms and you think, that was a great commercial. What the hell were they advertising? Because I've seen that and I don't remember. And on that happy note, I'll say thank you for inviting me up here.
I would say my favorite holiday one was the Folgers. That was the one, the son comes home from college and starts a pot of coffee and everybody was sleeping upstairs and they could smell the coffee and so happy to see him. I always liked that one. But I am done, this Toastmaster lady. Nancy, call a timers report. Timers report first.
Yes, ma'am.
I think. I was trying to figure out your little mechanics. Everybody did a great job. Joe was 128, Kate was 148, and Steve was 156.
Great job. And the word master today, Tracy.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics. All three of our contestants did use the word. Joe once, Kate twice, and Steve once. Thank you.
Is Thomas Elwine? Okay, then we don't need a further value. A few of those jinglies. Oh, my goodness. Think of, I don't want to grow up, I'm a,
Toys R Us kid.
give me a break, break me off a piece of that.
Yeah.
Best part of waking up, Folgers in your cup. Two of the speakers reminded me of how jingles have changed. They were really, really popular in the 50s and 60s, some in the 70s, and then they started to wane out a little bit because they realized that people think differently, they're kind of corny. And now they brand a feeling. I think it was, Steve, you said you couldn't remember what commercial it was. That's why, because they just want you to have a feeling. And it's not the product they're selling, it's the whole concept of their product. So eventually, when you figure out what it is, you'll say, oh yeah, I feel so good about that. That's awesome. So when you be all that you can be, all right, 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
David Jones.
Which one was that? McDonald's or Burger King? That's right. Burger King was have it your way. Hold the lettuce, hold the pickles, special orders don't upset us. All we ask is that you let us serve it your way. Guess who worked at Burger King in college? People would come up and say, can you sing that for me? I said, no, what do you want on your hamburger? My daughter-in-law, I love her dearly, but she works for Liberty, 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 Liberty. Hate that commercial. I have Liberty insurance, but I do not like their commercial. But it sticks in your head. It is an earworm. So I would like to introduce our evaluators today. I would also like to introduce another guest, my wife in the back, Fran Ferry. Wait, you gonna have a look? We're celebrating 11 years next month. Let me see. Our first evaluator is going to be evaluating Len Thornton. And that will be Miss Jackie Kinney.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be evaluating Len this morning. I have no clue what he's talking about because he sat here this morning and came up with his speech. So I have no information on what he's doing, except that I'm sure, being that it's Len, his brand will show us something interesting, something humorous, and possibly a little bit of a lesson about something. So, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jackie. And Len did share his title with me this morning. And his title is Change in the American West. Please help me welcome our first speaker, Len Thornton.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest Jeanette. Sometimes you just don't realize you're speaking until the day of Toastmasters, and you have to reach deep and pull out a hip pocket speech. Try not to make that my brand, but it happens. I read an article this morning from the Los Angeles Times. It has to do with wind energy. And there's some controversy with this. Obviously, there's people who believe in science, and then there are climate deniers. I won't get into the politics of it, but this is a story about out west and cattle farmers who are changing the way they make money. And I'm going to read various excerpts about this and inject a little commentary to hopefully make a point. And if you're interested in reading the full article, I will send it out through our email to everybody. It starts out, I know the wind turbine blades aren't going to kill me, at least I'm pretty sure. No matter how many times I watch the slender arms swoop down toward me, packing as much punch as 24 F-150 pickup trucks, it's hard to shake the feeling that they're going to knock me off my feet. They sweep within a few dozen feet of the ground before launching back toward the heavens, reaching nearly 500 feet above my head, higher than the highest redwood. So yes, I'm a little terrified, but also full of awe. These machines are changing the world after all. More than 800 miles from Los Angeles, on ranch land littered with so much cow dung it's hard not to step in it, the pastel green hills are studded with wind giants. They dominate the scruffy sagebrush landscape, hundreds of them, framing the snow-streaked heights of Elk Mountain and casting dramatic shadows as gray clouds threaten to overtake a brilliant blue sky. Before wind energy took off, there wasn't much going on in this corner of Wyoming cattle country. Lane Anderson, Director of Wind Operations at Pacific Corp, the company owned by billionaire investor William Buffett, that built these turbines. It was sagebrush and some hills, basically all it was. Anderson says, a lot of ranchers out here trying to scratch out a living on what actually grows in the few months that we have for a growing season. Winters can be pretty brutal. The American West is on the cusp of immense change, a region long defined by wide open vistas in the early stages of a clean energy boom that could fundamentally alter its look and feel. On your next Western road trip, watch for wind turbines in the backcountry, drive through the desert, and prepare for dark seas of shimmering solar panels. These renewable energy products are cropping up across the rural West, driven largely by the power demands of distant cities, Los Angeles, Denver, Seattle, and more. It's not the first time these cities have looked far beyond their borders for electricity. They fueled their explosive 20th century growth by propping up coal plants and damming rivers with little regard for the consequences. The transition from fossil fuels to clean energy is desperately needed to confront the wildfires, droughts, heat storms, and other deadly consequences of the climate crisis. The power grid transformation will only get faster under a bill signed by President Biden this month, setting aside nearly $370 billion for climate and clean energy projects. But renewable power is also reshaping landscapes, ecosystems, and rural communities, and not always for the better. Solar and wind farms can create jobs and tax revenues, reduce deadly air pollution and slow rising temperatures, but they can also disrupt wildlife habitat and destroy sacred indigenous sites. Some small town residents consider them industrial eyesores. Those tensions have come to define Wyoming's Carbon County, a place named for coal. To understand why, you have to understand the geography. At the Continental Divide, just on the edge of the Rocky Mountains, there is an area where winds blow basically 60% of the times above 20 miles per hour. And they blow at just the right times as well to provide power to West Coast cities. Now, Warren Buffett isn't the only ultra-wealthy investor looking to cash in. Not far from the Oracle of Omaha's clean energy kingdom, the reclusive billionaire Phil Anschutz, who owns the Coachella Music Festival, the Los Angeles Kings hockey team, and LA's Crypto.com arena, is preparing to build the nation's largest wind farm. After nearly 15 years of planning, crews are constructing gravel roads, pads are cleared for roughly 600 turbines. Wyoming's 500,000 residents don't need all that energy. California's 40 million residents do. So Anschutz is getting ready to construct a 732-mile power line across Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, and Nevada to ship electricity to the Golden State. It's an audacious plan and a harbinger for what's to come. To see what the future might look like, LA Times journalists visited Anschutz's sprawling wind farm construction site, then traveled the planned route of his electric line. They talked with the project's fiercest supporters and harshest critics. Along the way, they came to realize that West's greatest cities have a choice. They can open themselves up to hard conversations with small town residents, ranchers, Native American tribes, and wildlife advocates, and do their best to find common ground, or they can try to steamroll whoever gets in their way. Neither option is guaranteed to speed the transition from fossil fuels to clean energy. The stakes are high and time is short. The article goes on for another 40 pages. I'll spare you that. As I've made time, getting back to the theme, I just want to say that increasing usage of clean, renewable energy is not just a political consequence, it's also a capitalistic consequence. If there's money to be made in clean energy, people will switch from fossil fuels to clean energy, and that is exactly what's happening. And toward our theme, who remembers the song Summer Breeze by Seals and Crofts? It seemed apropos for wind farms. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine of my mind. Mr. Toastmaster, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Len. It's always wonderful to have an experienced Toastmaster that can pull hip pocket speeches and entertain us and share new information with us. Thank you so much. Is um, is Thomas Holdwine on? We have one speaker. Okay. So I think,
It's Phil is on.
is Phil on?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Phil. Excuse me, I turned my page and couldn't find the other page. Phil Russell is our next speaker. Speaking of experienced Toastmasters, Phil, you've been sharing a lot of information with us lately, and we really appreciate your excitement about the pathways, projects, and the innovative planning that you're doing. His evaluator today is going to be Mike Florio. Okay, and we have an opening. I see Jill sitting there smiling with her pen in her hand. Would you be willing to evaluate Phil Russell today?
I don't have any information though, so.
I'm sure he will prepare us with his information when he begins to speak, because he did say he would like to introduce his own speech. Phil Russell, you're on, and please tell us what it is that you have to share with us today. It's 5 to 7 minutes, correct? You're muted.
Yes,
Okay, great. Thank you.
brand. I'll give you a brand. Where's the beef? Those of us that were originally from Lockport, we knew where the beef was until it closed. Jake Stoles had the beef. Okay. On with a 5 to 7 minute speech. Hey, write it down. Write it down. I like to be organized. I need to be organized. But lately, the problem is the more I do, the harder I work, the behinder I get. Anyone out there ever get that feeling? Any one of you? You right at the YWCA or in Zoom land? Any of you ever have that feeling? Well, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, our guests. I joined Toastmasters back in 1982. I did it to help myself get organized. That was one of the key reasons. Well, look at me. I'm still here. Oh, well. I have done this exercise before. It works. It really works. You write it down. I am just reorganizing. That's what I'm doing. And I'm doing it in this project to fit my needs. Because what I'm doing is a proposal on myself. And what am I going to propose myself to do? My proposal is to get myself organized again with specific goals. The first thing I need a pencil and a paper. Or a computer that I can type into. Look, I have them both. I really do. Both. Both of them I have the ability to use. The reason I use that pencil and paper is because I'm used to it. But I should have been a doctor because my writing is so horrible. I sometimes can't even read my own writing. That's crazy. Well, what's next? How do we go about this? We have the pencil, paper, we have the computer. So what's next? Set goals, set needs, set wants. Now, this may seem a little bizarre to you, but we start 30 years out. Now, if you remember my last path, I told you I could live to be 108. So 30 years out is possible for me. So you put down what your goals are, what you want in 30 years. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want done? What are your needs? And what are your wants? Then put those down. Maybe only one, maybe 10, maybe 50. Go to 20 years. Then 10 years, repeating the process over and over. The list gets longer. Then you go to 5 years. How about 1 year? 6 months? 3 months? 1 month? 1 week? Today and tomorrow, you write it down. That's what you do. Is it folly? Yes, but it's fun. You can have fun doing this. Why? Because you're organizing yourself in what you want to do, what you need to do, heading towards a goal. That's what you're doing. And it is what I want to do. I've done it before. When I was coaching using that brand, I did it and I accomplished every one of my goals. And when I saw the writing on the wall, I decided it was time to move on. And I did. Now, what's going to happen when I do this? I'll tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to solve 2 riddles. 2 riddles. I'm going to stop feeling like I am working in an empty bushel basket and getting nowhere. The second riddle, number 2, I'm going to solve. I'm going to stop doing the more I do, the harder I work, the behinder I get. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Phil. You're always an inspiration. I would like to ask Jeanette for a timers report. Let me get it ready for us. There we go.
Len, you were 7:02, and Phil, you were 6:22. Len, wind turbines, and Phil, behind her I get.
Well, sounds like they both qualify. Please fill out your ballots. And if you are on Zoom, I believe a thing will come up of, what do you call it? A poll. I knew that. There should be a jingle for that word. The first commercials were on radio. and they were trying to sell you a product that you had never maybe seen or experienced, didn't know anything about. So that's where the jingles started, because they would get that, just a few little words, maybe like a nursery rhyme and a sing-songy kind of thing. And it would, I don't know if they had the earworm idea, but it would get in your head and you couldn't stop thinking about it, and then you had to go buy it. That was in the 20s, and the first one was Wheaties, was in 1926. Wheaties was going downhill, and they were ready to just call it a flop. And the Wheaties a cappella group decided they would Wheaties a song. And I couldn't sing that. And that, because we know that you were listening back to the radio then, right? And so Wheaties is still a household item that many people all over the world buy. So the bringing up of the jingles, that's in the 30s, reached their peak on radio. Everything started being a jingle on radio. And then of course, when TV came along, they could put the dancing cigarettes and the cigars. Remember the Tipperillos? That was pretty seductive. If you look at that, the Tipperillo, you ought to look at it on YouTube. It was pretty. Yes, David.
What Floyd said.
Who? Freud, what? Like the dancing hot dogs at the drive-in too, right? It's just the hot dog dancing. Okay, I am going to invite up our first evaluator, Jackie, who is evaluating Len Thornton.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Well, we have Len's brand. I have no parameters because even though Len said it was a hip pocket speech, he was somewhat prepared. The one thing he didn't bother doing was getting on the agenda and filling things in so we'd know what project he was doing. But he came with printed material. So he has been kind of thinking about wind power and what it means to all of us. I found it very interesting to hear some of the facts and figures that Len shared. I felt they were very valuable. They told us a lot about the power of wind, a free thing. Obviously, you need equipment to harness it, but it's there. It's blowing all the time. It was amazing to me to think about what exactly could create power in cities on the West Coast from the middle of the prairies. We avoided politics, which is a good thing, but definitely learned something about change in the American West and what needs to be accepted in order to harness that wind power and bring it to the cities along the coast. I think his language was good. We heard terms like distant cities and words like audacious. We also felt engaged when he stopped reading. He was reading from that material quite a bit, but he eventually spoke directly to us and gave us a lot of facts and figures that we assume are correct because he pulled them off the internet and we know everything is correct on the internet. So that 732-mile power line is coming in our near future. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about this from Len down the road. Thank you.
Jackie. And our next evaluator, reluctantly smiling back there, agreeing. That's what Toastmasters is all about. Jumping up and jumping in and saying yes, right? Jill is going to be evaluating Russ. And Phil Russell.
Well, not knowing what I was evaluating for, other than Phil and Phil's ability to speak well, I found his speech very interesting. Putting our goals on paper. How many times are you doing something and you think about things and you tell yourself, I gotta write that down? Well, do you? Probably not. I have a lot of lists. Sometimes I cross things off of them. But as far as a goal list, I tried doing it a couple of years ago, several years ago. I found it too intimidating for me. So it's nice that Phil is working on his goals, although he talked about making it smaller lists, which would make a lot of sense. And maybe my own list wouldn't have been so intimidating if I'd only thought a year in the future instead of 20 years or 10 years. He gave us direct suggestions and plans and methods of how to do this. He didn't just wing it and tell us, hey, put your ideas on paper here. He used very descriptive language. The empty bushel basket. Although I found that Phil spent a lot of time looking down, which is uncharacteristic for him. I'm not sure exactly what was going on, but he did spend a lot of time looking down at his paper, I'm assuming. But again, what else can we say about his speech? Everybody knows the harder I work, the behinder I get. I know it myself. I pull the big weeds and then I see all the little weeds. Yeah. So yes, Phil, we do all get behind. Maybe a small list, just our needs and wants, which brings me back to my marketing education, but the things we need, the things we want, and our ways of getting there. So thank you, Phil, for giving us some plans of how to actually think this through. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you again, Jill, for your evaluation and also for stepping up. May I have another timer's report? Jeanette.
This is the most exercise I've gotten at a Toastmasters meeting. And I love these forms, so I just took a picture. I'm stealing it. I think it's great. It's you could put the person's name and the time. And you brought a thought to my head. Nursery rhymes, kids singing songs, jingles, branding. I think there's a big correlation here that we might not be might not be capturing. Jackie, 232, and Jill, 301, you both qualify.
So again, cast your ballots for either Jackie or Jill. Being careful not to say Jack and Jill now that we're saying nursery rhymes. I almost said that. We had a Cambodian refugee family living with us when my kids were young, and they would watch TV to learn English. Unfortunately, they picked up on all the commercials. And we would hear them going, bouncing around the house saying, mad balls, mad balls, mad balls. Ay, 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 I am the Frito Bandito. And ho, 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 green giant. Like, these aren't going to get you anywhere, but they were starting to use the language, and it was, that's how kids learn, is through hearing other, especially the sing-songy ringing earworms. Let me see. The best a man can get. Aren't you surprised I knew that one? $5, $5. Foot long Subway, right? Do you remember the $5? All right, anyone have some real favorite ones? One of my favorite ones was everyone knows it's Slinky, it's Slinky, and it'd go down the stairs and it'd show you all the fun things you could do with it. That was one of the earworms that I had when I was a kid, trying to convince my mother to get me a Slinky or another Slinky because they got all twisted up, and they went down the stairs once appropriately, and then they started doing their own thing, and then you'd pull them. Yeah, but they're still fun. And then they made the Slinky dogs that went with it, and we have lots of time today because we only had 2 speakers. Does anyone have a favorite jingle that they would like to share with us today that we haven't heard? Okay. Tom, you look contemplative. Would you like to share a jingle with us? Mr. Jones?
I'm sorry, I was zoning out. What was the question?
That's what I said. You were contemplative. You were zoning. You blew yourself in. Do you have
Well,
You
a
called him
favorite?
Tom Jones again. He's Tom Jones to some of us.
Also want to point out last week, the Toastmaster called Jackie Kennedy. And when I called her Kennedy, I got crucified. And it was passed over for the Toastmaster last week. It was just an observation. Selective criticism, I guess.
Do you have a favorite jingle that you want to share with us?
Favorite jingle. I'm gonna have to go back to as a kid, only because I saw it driving down the road, would be the Oscar Mayer, because I saw the Oscar Mayer. I guess everybody has seen it at some point in life, but the Oscar Mayer, I'm not a big singer, so I won't sing it, but I'll let you sing it. I think you sung part of it earlier, but definitely Oscar Mayer as a kid, because they always had it somewhere in Miami where I lived.
And the hot dog, you mean driving down the street?
It was actual vehicle. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Does it go across the country? Because the song doesn't stick in your head enough, or it just makes you want to sing it for the rest of your life?
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts. Mounds don't.
Yeah. How about free cola? Sometimes, I think it was Phil, I don't remember who said it, but somebody was saying that sometimes they get mixed up with the jingle and what it belongs to. I have allergies this time of year, and I was thinking, I need something. And I was looking in the closet. That's where I found the Band-Aids. And all I could think of was the dog flea commercial. Now it was what is it called? Seresto. And I'm thinking, Seresto. I'm like, no, I don't need flea and tick medicine, but I do kind of want something for my allergies. I think it's Zyrtec, but I don't know if they have a jingle. I'm not sure if drug companies are allowed to have jingles to get them stuck in your head. I don't know. So every kiss begins with cha 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 chia. How many people have a chia pet? Oh, come on. How many people eat chia seeds? All right, so let's move to our roll holders reports. Starting with our word master who disappeared. Did she leave? Oh, okay. I just didn't think she was that small sitting back there. Thank you for doing that for us. Joe Budnick, another one to step in for us.
Absolutely. So brand went very good today. David and Nancy both used it twice. Jackie used it twice, Len used it once, and Phil used it 3 times. Very good. Have a good day, everyone.
I'd like to take a couple minutes to ask our 2 guests how they engaged in the meeting today, how they liked it, whether they didn't like it. And you must share at least one jingle. You don't have to sing it, but you have to at least tell us one that is important to you or that gets to be an earworm in your head. And I'm going to ask Fran first because she's glaring at me. And I know that Jeanette's been hopping. She needs to sit for a moment. Fran, would you come up and tell us? Okay. 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 Jeanette, would you like to tell us how you experienced our meeting today? And also if you'd like to share a little bit about what it means to be area director and how we can get involved in being just more than just our own club.
Thank you so much. I will spare you my singing. I don't even sing in church. I lip sync. My jingle that I can't get out of my head, and it's more of a visual than a hearing, because I can't, you guys might be able to come up with a jingle. The Charmin Bears, everyone has to go. And the bears, it's like an earworm, but it's with the eyes. So I don't know if it's like a hot stick point, in the eye or what, but that's the one I can never get out of my head. I am very glad to be here. This morning when I got here, I was telling some folks that I have been in and out of this Toastmasters club more in the 90s and early 2000s than of recent. You guys have always had a really strong club, really strong membership. I've always found your club to be very fun. So it was that way today too. Couple changes, a couple differences between the clubs. So as area director, I have to go and visit the clubs in my area. So there's 4, soon to be 3. So when I go to one of the clubs that is dissolving, I will pitch Lockport as well as Clarence because that's my home. But I would just like to know, when I find out if anybody's going to come, I will give you a heads up just so that, if I know, you'll know so that you can welcome them and try and hook them in. So I am the Clarence Toastmasters president and VP of PR. I've been a Toastmaster since the 90s, give or take a few 5 years in between, starting. I rejoined Toastmasters in 2011 because I do live TV on AM Buffalo and I do cooking segments with them. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to get back in the saddle and make sure that I don't do those. I'm the odd champion in Clarence Toastmasters. So who's ever counting, you could I'll just take the winning championship. The other part of my role at our family business is
training development presentations. I wanted to let you know of a couple different things that are going on for our area. We have an open house in Clarence Toastmasters. It's a open house welcome back reunion, September 9th, which is a Friday during our normal session from 8 to 9. It's at the Clarence Church of Christ. I'll be sending out information to the presidents. I'd like to have a Division A, which is, it comprises of 4 or 5 groups, 5 areas, and have a happy hour. And I have a couple different places in mind. So hopefully that will happen in the fall. I'd love to have everybody. Our club is also going to be having a holiday food donation. I don't know if you do community outreach like that, but I would love to help with that or have an area collection. I am the CAC of Feedmore, so it's a community ambassador council member. It's kind of one step before you go onto the board. And I would love to have you guys participate. Or if you have a local food pantry, if you want to donate there, that's fine too. I am going to be trying, if I can get all the information from International, I'm going to be starting a youth leadership program. I am part of a business council, business mentor for Clarence High School, and they have an Academy of Business and Finance. So I'd like to run the program through there. And I would love for any of you who might want to come and help with that to come to that meeting. There's, I think, 8 sessions from what I can gather, because I can't get the information from International. So as that program develops, I would love to have you participate and or bring it to another school. And the last little bit of information, you might already know this because of Kate, but the speech competition is going to be Tall Tales and the international speech. And area 11, I have slated for January 28th. So your club will be participating on the 28th. So I just want to let you know that as that date just got set. And that's all I have. Thank you for your warm welcome.
Dave Licata, will you give us a report on our gestures?
Wow, it's a good thing we only had 2 speakers. Getting back to the theme, and I love the theme. And everybody said this commercial, that commercial was annoying. The most annoying commercial in my life was us Tarrington smokers would rather fight than switch. Most annoying commercial ever. Most effective commercial ever. To stick with our dear old friends and forgotten history, Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. They have been approached by other companies. And even though Winston knows that cigarette advertising is never coming back to broadcasting, radio or television, they will not sell that jingle. They will not give anybody else the rights to it. Now, they're not jingles. A former pro like myself knows that they're psychorhythmic persuaders. And that's the whole deal. And they get buried in your mind for hundreds of years. Brew me no brew with artificial bubbles. Those carbonated beers of today. 'Cause Utica Club will still take the trouble to age beer the natural way. Utica Club, you see, very clever commercial. All right, get to work, Dave. Stop messing around. I want to thank you for the theme. It brought back so many memories. Sylvia Baptiste, outstanding smile when you get up here. Good job. Joe Budnick, good hands, good hand gestures. Kador, plenty of gestures.
Her head was on a swivel, great eyes and great smile, but she's always had that. I mean, it was God's gift, but we'll still give her credit. Steve Smith, great eye contact, got his head into the act along with his hands, full gestures. Jackie went college lecturer, which I'm prone to do as well. And the best part is that Len carried on with college lecturer. But Len did a nice job of splitting his eyes between his notes and the audience. All right. Hang on. Oh, Phil, leaning into the camera. How effective, no doubt about it. He split his eye contact. Now, he didn't do as well as Len, but he split his eye contact between his notes and the camera. And Phil, I don't know how you did it, but that camera freeze when the visual stopped or was frozen, but the audio kept going. That was very dramatic. It worked for me. You know more electronics than you think, Phil. Good job. Jill Roaring, nice gestures from the lectern, and she gifted us with a full Rita Hayward hair flash, which I'm always grateful for. But her gestures broadcast sincerity, and I got that feeling. Jeanette, good eye contact from behind the lectern, good head movements, and then when she said hooked, she gave a good hook gesture. It's like she was pulling a salmon out of Lake Ontario. Nice job. Nancy, you have inspired me. When my next turn comes as Toastmaster of the day, my theme will be, we're having a meeting for immature adults. Bring all your old toys. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
I guess Yo-Yo would be in that one too, one of our toys, right? Slinky and Silly Putty. We're all set. Is there another report? Quiz master. I knew there was another one. I was looking down here. Gerald Stevens is going to test us on our memory.
I only had 4 questions today, so not too much of a test. And I actually think my test is pretty simple. So we'll see who gets 100. For the area governor, I'm a professor, so I sometimes give tests, but I don't make them hard. I'm a nice professor, apparently. But I don't like to give it 100% necessarily. I always seem to find it's very rare to get 100% on my test. There's always but one question, always that one. But some of these are easy. What is the name of the Niagara Falls store Dave designed a jingle for? Good job. Joe hated what commercial? For was that one?
Toaster strudels.
Thank you, toaster strudels. That's the one I wrote down. There may have been more than one. This is a pretty easy one. What did Len talk about today? That's right. And what does Phil need to be in his life according to his speech? He needs to be organized. Good job. See, that was pretty good. 100%. Good job, all. Madam Toastmaster.
Okay. We have winners to announce, and we have a winner that we haven't picked yet for our 50-50. If anybody has not put in and would still like a last minute chance? No? Okay, everybody got their chance. There somebody would be my assistant here and pull them out? Gerald, you jumped up. Okay. Okay. I do. The Master. Grammarian. Wow.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good morning, Toastmasters and our guests. As the grammarian, the odd master, I want to say we use a lot of great words. You yourself, Madam Toastmaster, the use of jingles throughout the meeting definitely gave many expressive thoughts through words this morning, so good job with that. Len, you used expansive imagery in your speech this morning, so I have to give you a lot of credit for that. That being said, Phil, behinder is a great word, except it's not an actual word. So more behind would be, it's better use of the English language. And the ahs, there were several, there were a couple of ands, but I think we're reverting back to ahs and ums instead of ands and so we're all guilty of. Maybe I encourage everyone to go back and watch their segments online, because this is posted on YouTube, just to continue to learn from speeches and learn from other people in our club. Madam Toastmaster.
So, who's got the drum roll? Our best table topics is Steve Smith. You want to come up and receive a ribbon? They made great bookmarks too.
Thank you.
Don't forget, the supply of written paper at the yard sale when.
Our best evaluator, sitting right next to him, is Jill Roaring. I read for the evaluator.
This is my first evaluator.
Congratulations. And one more drum roll. Our best speaker is Phil Russell. Phil Russell, there's a ribbon. Should you want to come and get it sometime?
Substitution, Lynn could draw.
There we go.
And our 50-50 winner is 345-476.
476, last three numbers. And that's Dave.
Good to do the
Put yours today, take it in, if you want to take it today, get it in there.
Oh, that's right. Put all of them in there today for our 50-50 on dues.
While you're doing that, can I ask Jeanette, what date did you say will the contest be for area 11?
January
please?
20th, January 28th.
January 28th, Saturday. Okay. So we'll have to have our club contest before then, everybody, Len and Jill, and I will work on that and make sure we're set. And Phil, did you hear that? If you're still there, Table Topics is back in the lineup this year. Just FYI, Gerald, Dr. Stevens, Table Topics is back. We haven't seen it in a while.
And our winner of a free 6-month membership, I believe, is Len Thornton.
Yay, Len Thornton is our winner for 6-month membership. I know, really. Mr. Toastmaster, did you want to close us out or any announcements?
I do have. Thank you so much. Round of applause for our Toastmaster today. A lot of work with all those jingles. Definitely a lot to remember. So kudos to recall all of that. I think it'd be great to have a Toastmasters jingle to increase the Toastmasters brand. So if anybody is motivated, maybe you could present it to the Toastmasters International, Dave Licata. Now you work on it. It doesn't have to be right away. You know, it's one of those things you got to think about. I did also want to announce that we are having a Celtic Festival table to promote our club. And we've had 3 people step up to be in the table. We will definitely take some more. It's good to have more than one person in the representing our club there, and the materials are being organized, the table's being organized, and I will set it up on a Friday and bring it down on Sunday, so I will take care of that. And we're gonna have a little dry run maybe next week and see what we can come up with. The marketing membership people here, our membership officer Jill, and input is welcome. Next week, the Toastmaster is Joe Budnick. Oh. So Joe is not the Toastmaster next week, so we'll need to have a volunteer Toastmaster. So we'll have to think about that. We'll put that out to the world and see, is there anybody here that would like to be a volunteer for next week? Okay. Speakers though, the lineup is David Jones, Eric Schneider, and Jackie Kenny. And I think they've all confirmed already, except for Jackie. Okay. We're also going to have an open house in the fall, and the date is to be organized. So we have to think about that in our scheduling coming up here. Okay. And feel free to promote Toastmasters. We love to have new members at any time. So talk Toastmasters up and bring in your friends, and we want to get some new members in here. And it's always great to hear new stories.
Anybody seen our new member?
Our new member has confirmed that accepted the website to be on the website, so he can be scheduled now. Kate was with the one from UB. Who was the other mentor for Marty? Was the other mentor for Mike Hayes? I think his name was. Yeah, Jason. Yeah. So
Jason could not attend today. He's been interviewing a bunch and just is moving this week. So he opted to not attend while he's moving, I guess. But we've been meeting every week on Zoom.
Yes.
He
Dave,
does not want to move back to China. If it's up to him, we'll see. He's applying for jobs all over the US in finance,
so he's in transition.
but he's still at UB until January.
Yes, we had a guest last week who said they were going to join, so Marty brought in, so hopefully he will join it. And we will get some more leads coming up here, so we have some ideas. The officers, so hopefully we'll start generating some more leads in regards to getting members. It appears that there are clubs struggling at this point with the increase of inflation, probably also post-COVID. So there's a lot of things going on for sure. It's a tough time. So we used to have 5 clubs, I think, maybe 6, I think, in the area. Now we got 3 and 1 struggling, according to Jeanette. So
I have 4. I'm going to be coming it's September 30th. I will drop down to 3 and M&T.
yeah. So yeah. What do you guys think about? I know summertime's a little crazy. Maybe in the next schedule, maybe eliminating a few of the roles, so we don't get any burnout here. I know some Toastmasters have brought up that they've spoken or been the Toastmaster many times, and every week they have a role, which is good and bad. But okay, yeah. So I didn't call on anybody. So yes, Mike.
I make a motion to buy comments with the mayor. Second motion. Second.
Okay. Yeah, I'll in for the next schedule, correct?
Next schedule is that.
So many clubs are doing a flag, the word of the day, the odd calendar, and the Marion, because the membership is so low. So some parents are masters for the bag.
Yeah, we have extra roles here as well. So yeah.
I can't hear what everybody is saying.
So Mike made a motion to basically combine in the next schedule the odd master and the grammarian because there's maybe a little burnout going on, and we see that a lot of people are maybe not attending like they usually do, and it could be summer, could be not. And it's, so I think maybe we should eliminate a few roles. We used to have 44 members. We do not have 44 members anymore. And the active amount was, I would say, in the 30s, that would come regularly. So today we have 16, I think, here. Actively, normally, I'd say we're in the 20s, if I had to say, which online, and yeah, so which is still pretty good. But at the same time, I don't want to get our members burnt out either, because we have so many roles. So we could think about eliminating the Quizmaster maybe, or the judge.
I have a point to counter with that. I don't know if we want to continue a motion when we only have 16 members. We do have like 35 right now or something. We might want to table it until next week or something when we have more folks before we make any decisions. I do like the WAG master, the word grammarian being used in a lot of other places. And today went smoothly. I'd like to point that out as the VPE for a long time. And you all know the hardest roles to fill are speaking roles. And so if everyone's not stepping up and we can't get 3 speakers every week, my perspective, my position would be, instead of getting rid of roles, which are interesting, fun, less involved, good for listening skills, good for practice. I know we brought in Quizmaster and Gesture Master, which then evolved into Tech and Gesture Master. But I think if we're all trying to improve those skills, those roles are important, and we should try to consider keeping those. And instead of having 3 speakers, have 2, unless there's times where there's availability, like speeches that are 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and we want to fit in a third. I know that the goal is speaking, but people drop it the most. People pull back the last minute. Even if we have an alternate, like I was on as alternate today, but I really didn't confirm it because I thought Thomas was coming. So my perspective would be, instead of eliminating the smaller roles that are easier to fill and more folks jump into, like when you watch the schedule, people jump in on Gesture and Word Master and Tech and Gesture Master a heck of a lot faster than speaking roles. We didn't even have a GE today. So those kinds of things, like I wonder, because a lot of clubs are only an hour long, they do only do 2 speeches. So it's just my perspective from watching the flow of what skills we're trying to improve and who's actually volunteering. Sorry, it's after 8:30. I'll shut up.
Oh, is it after 8:30? Okay.
Here's one thing that needs to improve, is people confirming.
Yes, that has happened since I mentioned they've been confirming, but what has happened in the schedule is we've had some people that weren't really looking at the schedule, we'll say, and some people that were in the schedule that didn't want to be in the schedule. They did not tell Len that. That's not Len's fault. So there's been some disorganization with that. So that's something we need to.
And that confirm or delete.
Most people don't respond at all when I.
Yeah.
So that is the responsibility that has not been, it's a good point, Jill. And at this point, we're at the discussion of Mike's speech. We do have a quorum, so we could actually vote on it, truthfully, Kate. So it's just a matter of, what, anybody else has anything to discuss in regards to input, in regards to the motion that was on the floor, which was combining.
I think they were tabling it for next week.
Okay. Okay, so we have some more people that are in favor of tabling. Okay, that's fine.
If we had to change the schedule already right away, but we still have 5 weeks before the new schedule
Right.
goes live.
That's
So we
fine.
do have a little wiggle room for other people's perspectives. I like the idea of merging, though. A lot of clubs do that,
Okay.
whether it's WAG Master or Ag Master.
Okay, so that's something to discuss. We don't have to vote on it. The man that made the motion, are you willing to table your motion? Okay, so Mike is willing to table the motion. Any other points or discussions for today? The motion's been tabled. Okay. Right. So that's yes. Right, that's fair. Yeah, and it would be easier on the table topics master if we had a few less roles. So we have some time to think about it, and I guess we'll discuss at a future meeting, maybe when more folks are here. So, and we have a little extra time. And again, we have some weeks. It's not going to change for a while. Yeah, so you have 2 people to pick from. So it's It's just a product of not being 44 members like we used to be. That's really what it is in my mind. So, so it's a little less, and maybe we just adapt a little bit. It doesn't have to be eliminating a lot of things. Just be a minor tweak. Okay, that's all I have for today. And meeting adjourned.
I'd like to build the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honeybees and snow white turtle doves.
Hey, Jill, is Jill still there?
Teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to
Hey, Jill, can you hear me?
keep it company.